So, good day everyone. So, today we discuss the comparative model in policy. It's represented by me, Musad Sharmi from PS Stream 41. So, first is comparative. Ibig sabihin ng comparative, an estimate or relative likeness or unlikeness of two objects or events. So, kaya siya tinatawag na comparative because you compare things. Kung ano yung kaibahan at kung ano yung hindi kaibahan ng isang object or isang event. Ang ibig sabihin din ng comparative, ito yung nagre-represent as examination of two or more things para ma-discover mo yung similarities and differences ng dalawang objects. Kung relative value ba sila. So next is model system. Pag sinabi natin model system, it is used to describe the countries being used as a topic of discussion. These countries are chosen not because they are greater than others, but because they are the focus of comparison being studied. So, yung model system is, ang ibig sabihin niyan, yung meron tayong parang ginagayahan, halimbawa, yung policy natin sa Pilipinas, saan ba natin ginagaya yun? Yung iba sa Japan, yung iba sa Amerika. So, yung model system na yun, yung ibig sabihin niyan, yung isang country na pinag-uusapan or being a topic of discussion, hindi lang yung countries na yan ang napili dahil sila yung mas greater or um, yung tinatawag din nating modern system, ito din yung yung simplified as the representation. Parang sila yung magiging model natin o nagre-represent as real world entity, ganun. Kumbaga ginagayahan natin kung ano yung mga policies na pwede nating ma-apply sa bansa natin. So, yung model system kanina, it talks about the broader system, hindi lang naman yung police organization ng isang bansa, kundi iba't iba, it's more on engineering, technology, ganon. So, dito naman sa comparative police system, which is, ito na yung specific. Kumbaga, yung police system ng ibang bansa. Kino-compare natin yung kung ano yung mga policies sa ibang bansa. So, comparative police system, it is the science of art of investigating and comparing the police system of nations. It covers the study of police organizations, training, and methods of policing of various nations. Process of outlining the similarities and differences of one police system to another to discover insights in the field of international policing. So, ibig sabihin dito sa comparative police system, ito daw yung kino-compare natin kung ano yung mga police system ng iba't ibang bansa. Dito din natin malalaman kung ano yung mga policies ng kanilang police organization, kung ano yung mga training nila and methods nila in paano nila ini-implement yung policing sa different countries. So, ito din yung process sa comparative police system para ma-outline ang similarities and differences ng one police system. So, ibig sabihin ng one police system, halimbawa sa atin is, centralized tayo, which is, ang police is, so like sa Pilipinas, meron tayong one police system, which is, ang ibig sabihin, we have national in scope and civilian in character. So, ibig sabihin, one police force and one national scope. Ito po yung sinasabi na one police system dahil nakasaad siya sa 1987 Philippine Constitution, which is yung represented by the PNP or the Philippine National Police. So, wherein, ida-adapt natin kung ano yung policies na ikakabuti natin sa Pilipinas natin. Ida-adapt natin kung ano yung mga policies sa ibang bansa, which is makakatulong paano natin ma-implement yung policies ng mga Philippine or talks about criminal investigation. So, next naman is comparative criminal justice. It is a subfield of the study of criminal justice system worldwide. It studies the similarities and differences in structure, goals, punishment, and emphasis on rights as well as the history and political stature of different systems. So, ibig sabihin ng comparative criminal justice is inahalin tulad natin ang ibang bansa kung paano nila ini-implement yung different cultures or culture structure of police, courts, and correction. So, ibig sabihin, pinag-aaralan natin yung kung paano nila hinahandle yung isang criminal or paano tumatakbo ang criminal justice ng ibang bansa. Kagaya ng sa Amerika, which is wala silang community, they are meron lang silang tatlong pillar, which is law enforcement, then court, and correction. So, dito sa atin, we have 5 pillars. So, inaambing natin kung paano nila pinaprocess yung isang criminal sa ibang bansa, which is kung pwede natin sila ma-adapt, magaya natin yung mga process na ginagawa nila para makatulong sa um, pag-unlad ng paano pag-unlad ang justice system natin. That's why we compare or tinatawag nating comparative criminal justice. So, next naman is comparative policy methods. So, first is safari method. The police researcher usually visits another country, exploration, trip, or expedition. Ibig sabihin ng safari method, wherein yung police researcher, pupunta siya sa ibang bansa para mag-explore or um, mag-visit siya sa ibang bansa kung ano yung mga pamamalakad doon ng kanilang mga rules and regulations. Next naman is collaborative method. Ang ibig sabihin ng collaborative methods, the police researcher communicates with foreign researchers, cooperative, joint, or combined. So, isang police researcher pumunta ng ibang bansa, um, nakikipag-collaborate siya sa mga foreign researchers. Halimbawa, magkukuha siya ng information or kung ano yung pwedeng ma-apply sa Pilipinas. Kaya siya makipag-collaborate sa mga foreign researcher para makagather siya ng mga information or kung ano yung mga mahalaga na information na dapat magagamit or ma-apply natin sa ating police system. So next is historical method. Historical method most often used by police researcher because crime control usually requires historical perspective, single two or three culture or country. So, ibig sabihin ng historical method, yung mga history um, na nangyayari sa bansa nila or yung mga kultura na nangyayari sa ibang bansa. Yun yung historical method. Kung paano yung crime or crime control in historic perspective. So, add ko lang yung dun sa historical method wherein yung isang researcher is police researcher is magsusulat siya ng mga history na nangyari past sa past wherein yun yung mga kadalasan nire-research kung ano yung mga culture before bago pa man na naging modern yung isang bansa. So, dito na tayo sa next, comparative policing system theories. So, CPST explains why there is a need to compare police system. So, bakit daw natin kailangan i-compare yung police system natin sa ibang bansa? So, ito daw, it explains why there are differences in police systems and why country can replicate or model of policy system from another country because of similarity. So, meron tayong kaibahan sa ibang bansa in compare sa policing system. Dito din sa comparative policing system theories, in-explain na Bakit daw yung global law enforcement agencies vary in each organization, authority, and occupational culture? So dito naman, maaano natin yung modern theory and opportunity theory. So kung bakit yung mga rich or yung mga high level na nakatira or yung mga higher living standards, bakit sila yung most target ng isang krimen. Then sa modernization theory naman, kung bakit where increasing social complicity drives from formal um, policy. Theories of comparative policing break down global differences into several framework. Ganon. Ito na yung mga alertness of crime, mga opportunity theory, yun. So dito naman tayo sa alertness to crime theory. As a nation develops, people's alertness to crime is heightened. People become more aware of the need to have better policing. This leads to a more advanced policing system as a nation develops. People alertness to crime is heightened. So dito sa alertness to crime theory is kailangan muna nila mag-report na merong krimen na nangyari, which is um, para para na-pressure yung mga pulis na na para magiging parang highly specialized or magiging effective yung isang pulis. So ito yung sinasabi ng theory na 'to. Um, Kailangan muna yung mataas muna yung krimen bago pa nila um, bago pa nila maagapan yung isang krimen. Kailangan muna merong report na pero muna silang report na matatanggap bago nila bigyan ng aksyon. Ganun. So next is modernization theory. Suggests that traditional societies will develop as they adopt more modern practices. This results in society become more complex. Global development is a worldwide process affecting all societies touched by technological change. So ngayon naman is modern. Modern na yung um, nangyari sa buong mundo. Wherein, kung paano nagbago yung isang bansa or isang country, ganun din nagbabago yung krimen na nangyari. Halimbawa ngayon, yung mga krimen dahil modern na tayo, gumagamit na tayo ng mga technology, yung nangyayari kayo ng mga krimen, it's more on technology na din. Halimbawa, yung mga nakocommit nila, fraud, cybercrime, mga wherein yung mga kriminal nakocommit nila through sa through gadget, through the use of internet technologies. Kaya yung krimen din is nagbabago wherein dynamic, nagpabago-bago yung krimen dahil modern na tayo ngayon and ganun din yung krimen na nakocommit ng mga criminal. So next is the opportunity theory. Opportunities for committing crime multiply because of higher standards of living and victims becoming more careless of their belongings. So dito naman sa opportunity theory, kaya nakakomit ng kriminal ang isang krimen dahil meron siyang opportunity para makomit yung crime na yon. Then yung mga tao naman, nagiging careless sila sa mga gamit nila. Kaya kaya yung mga kriminal, madali lang nila ma-commit yung krimen dahil meron silang opportunity para makomit yon. Along with the higher standard of living, victims become more careless of their belongings and opportunities for committing crime multiple. And dito din, isa din yung connected dito is the routine activity theory, wherein meron siyang three elements. Di ba yun yung motivated offender, yung suitable target, and yung absence of capable guardian. Kaya nakukumit yung isang krimen dahil meron siyang opportunity para gawin yun. So next is economic or migration theory. Economic or migration theory result of migration in urban areas such as slum areas and ghettos due to opportunity. Comparative policing is necessary since migration involves the mixing of different cultures. Crime everywhere is the result of restrained migration and overpopulation in urban areas such as ghettos and slums. So, halimbawa na lang dito is sa Tondo, Maynila. Wherein overpopulation, hindi na kaya ng gobyerno mag-supervise. Kaya yung iba nagkukumit na ng krimen gaya ng theft, magnakaw sila dahil hindi na nila kayang ma-provide yung mga pangangailangan nila. Dahil sa may mga opportunities sila na gawin yun doon sa lugar nila. And dito din, yung mga galing sa rural areas, pupunta sila ng urban areas para maghanap ng trabaho. Wherein pagdating naman nila dito is hindi agad sila makakahanap ng trabaho. Wherein nag-overpopulate na, wala nang mahanap na trabaho. Kaya yung iba, nagko-commit na lang ng krimen para ma-survive nila yung kanilang pamumuhay. So next is demographic theory. Relates to overpopulation of areas due to migration. The death rate falls, but the birth rate remains high, leading to faster population growth based on the events of when a greater number of children are being born. Because as these booms grow up, delinquent subcultures develop out of the adolescent identity crisis. So dito naman sa demographic theory, dito naman is mas madami pa yung mga batang nabubuhay kaysa yung mga namamatay, gano'n. So dito nagkakaroon ng yung mga bata lumalaking nagiging delinquent na sila dahil sobrang dami ng tao tapos wala namang mahanap na trabaho yung mga magulang, tapos yung mga anak nila kung ano yung nakikita nila sa magulang nila na ginagawa nila is ayun din yung gagayahin nila hanggang sila ay lumaki gano'n, magiging mm, magiging member na sila ng mga batang mga subcultures or yung mga magiging delinquent, yung mga gang, ganyan, sumasali sa mga ganyan, nagko-commit na sila ng mga krimen. So, itong demographic theory na to, isa to sa mga problema sa bansa natin dahil ang bansa natin is overpopulated na tayo. So, hindi na kaya ng gobyerno na ma-sustain yung mga pangangailangan ng every family or every pamilya sa isang bahay. Kaya yung iba, dahil walang opportunity makapagtrabaho, walang opportunity na mabigyan ng trabaho, yung iba, magnakaw na lang para lang makasurvive sila sa kanilang pamumuhay. So, next naman is deprivation theory. Pag sinabi ng deprivation theory, it leads to scarcity or shortage of needs. Suggests that people feel they are being deprived of something considered essential in their lives like money, rights, political voice, and status. Holds that progress comes along with rising expectations and people at the bottom develop unrealistic expectations while people at the top don't see themselves rising fast enough. So halimbawa diyan is um, deprive ka sa mga pangangailangan mo kasi yung wala kayong rights kagaya ng pera, wala kayong pera kasi yung parang yung mahirap, yung ibig sabihin ng mahirap magiging mahirap kasi yung mga mayayaman nagiging mayaman na sila. Tas yung mga mayayaman naman feeling nila parang hindi pa sila satisfied as parang nasa taas sila kaya tayo parang maramdaman natin na yung pagiging deprived mo sa lahat ng kagaya ng hindi ka makahanap ng trabaho, ganyan. Parang wala kang karapatan, um, wala kang wala kang boses magsalita, sa pag wala kang karapatang boses magsalita sa mga it talks about political, tapos yung status mo hanggang diyan ka na lang, parang wala kayong, 'di kayo uunlad, parang gano'n. Ibig sabihin ng scarcity or shortage of needs, parang yun yung fundamental problem na having seemingly unlimited to human wants and needs. Parang limited lang yung resources nyo na limited lang yung resources nyo na makukuha sa gobyerno, halimbawa ganyan dahil mahirap hanggang diyan ka na lang, parang wala kang karapatan na malayang magkaroon ng trabaho, malayang may karapatan kang maghanap ng trabaho, may karapatan kang magsalita, ganyan. Parang, yun, hanggang doon na lang yung um, um, pamumuhay mo, yung mga ibig sabihin ng deprivation theory. You deprive ka sa lahat ng bagay, parang wala kang kakayahan na magsalita, wala kang kakayahan or wala kang karapatan na gawin yung mga bagay. So, dito naman tayo next, the theory of anomie and synonymy suggests that progressive lifestyles and norms results in disintegration of other norms that once held people together. Anomie, which means social breakdown. So, sa isang community, wala kayong batas. Parang lawlessness yung batas. Tapos, yun yung nag-aano ng sinasabi ng social disorganization theory. Hindi kayo organized, walang namumuno, wala kayong rules na sinusunod. Kaya, itong sinasabi dito magulo yung isang community kapag walang rules na sinusunod tapos hindi organized yung isang community. Magulo siya dahil wala tayong batas na sinusunod at nagkaroon ng hindi pagkakaintindihan ang um, mga tao na nakatira sa isang community na yan. So, dito naman tayo sa types of society. So, dito tayo sa folk communal society. Has little codification of laws, no specialization among police, and a police system of punishment that just lets things go for a while without intention until things become too much and then harsh and barbaric punishment is resorted to. So dito sa folk communal society, yung parang kapag ka hindi pa malala yung krimen na nagawa mo, is parang okay lang, ganyan. Wala mo na silang intention sa mga maliliit na bagay, ganyan. Bawa magnakaw ka lang, mag-ano ka lang. Wala silang hindi ka paparusahan dun hindi ka paparusahan sa community na yan. Parang pag malala na yung ginawa mong krimen, tsaka siya mag-result into harsh or barbaric, makaranas ka ng harsh or barbaric na punishment. So dito naman sa bureaucratic society, has a system of laws along with armies or lawyers, police who tend to keep busy hunting political crime and terrorism, and a system of punishment characterized by over-criminalization and overcrowding. Sa bureaucratic society wherein sinusunod nila it's through by the book. Tapos yung mga namamahala dito is yung mga non-elected officials. And parang nag-realize sila into formal division of labor, parang ganyan. Meron na silang sinusunod. Tapos, ang system of impersonal, rational, legal rules to maintain order, para ma-maintain yung order, yung fairness, and yung structural stability ng isang society. So dito naman sa urban industrial society, enforce laws that prescribe good behavior and give incentives and disincentives for behavior, and police are specialized in property crimes such as theft. They produce more of the goods and services they need without government interference. So dito naman, it's more on work, trabaho. Ito yung mga mass production and supported by highly concentrated city populations. Dito naman is yung rural ways of life which with wage labor, doon naman yung trabaho nila through technological advancement and complex division of labor. Parang nagiging mechanized, tapos masses of people relocated to metropolitan centers. Parang dito na nakahanap sila ng mga trabaho, mga ganyan. Tapos yung industrial economy ng isang society, to focus into farming, to a large scale manufacturing of goods and utilizing specialized machinery of assembly lines. So without the need of the government para mag-interfere doon sa mga tao sa community. So next naman is adversarial system. The accused is presumed innocent until proven guilty. inquisitorial system, the accused is guilty until proven innocent or mitigated. So sa adversarial system, ito yung sinusunod natin sa bansa natin, sa Pilipinas, wherein yung isang kriminal or isang accused, i-presume mo muna siyang innocent kahit sabihin mo nakapatay siya, kahit sabihin mong nagawa na niya yung krimen, meron pa rin tayong sinusunod na batas. Sa mata ng batas, kahit sabihin mo nakapatay na yung tao at as long as ma-prove mo yung beyond reasonable doubt or kaya yung sinatawag nating presume innocent until proven guilty wherein yung court na yung magpo-prove kung magpo-prove tsaka magpo-prosecute kung talagang criminal yung tao na yan. Wherein, yun yung ibig sabihin ng adversarial system. So, inquisitorial system, the accused is guilty until proven innocent or mitigated. So ito naman sinusunod ng sa Amerika. Yung accused daw is guilty muna siya bago mo ma-prove na innocent siya sa ginawa niya krimen. Then next tayo is type of police system. So dito sa centralized police system or national centralized police system, National Police Agency or police institution which is centrally commanded and controlled, which institutions have unlimited jurisdiction throughout the territory of the country. So, ibig sabihin dito, ayon sa 1987 Constitution na nag-represent as PNP sa atin or the Philippine National Police, that ang sinasabi doon, ang police daw is national in scope and civilian in character, wherein we have one police force sa Pilipinas. Kung police ka sa Visayas, police ka din sa Mindanao or sa Luzon. Ganon. Yun yung ibig sabihin ng national in scope and civilian in character. Yun yung centralized or isang police system lang sa bansa natin. Ganon. So, dito naman sa semi-centralized police system, combined police system. Police system in a federal system of government or similar constitutional arrangement, police institutions have unlimited jurisdiction throughout the territory of the country. Control of the police agencies in the states, provinces, or prefectures rest in both the federal central government as well as the governments of the component states, provinces, and prefectures. So, sa semi-centralized police system, wherein combined siya. Ibig sabihin, meron siyang centralized or meron din siyang decentralized police system. They have unlimited jurisdiction din throughout the territory of one country din. Yung isa naman, merong federal or central government as well as the governments of the component states, provinces, or prefectures. Pag sinabi nating semi-centralized, parang divided yung law enforcement niya, law enforcement authority between the central or yung national government or yung sabihin ng local or regional state of government. Halimbawa, sa Pilipinas, merong isang law enforcement. Tapos, halimbawa natin yung Pilipinas, isang law enforcement. Tapos, meron din sa isang province, meron din batas din, policy system din doon. Or meron din sa provinces or states, cities, ganyan. Isang halimbawa dito is Japan. So, next is decentralized police system or fragmented police system. Police system in federal union or similar form of political or constitutional arrangement, operational control, management, and superintendence of the police agencies or institution is the exclusive responsibility of the governments of the state or provinces. So dito naman sa decentralized system, ito na yung example dito is the US wherein each states meron silang kanya-kanyang police system na sinusunod. Kung nakomit mo yung krimen sa New York, in New York yung may ano sa'yo, New York yung New York Police yung may hawak sa'yo. So next is SARA model. So first in the SARA model is scanning. So scanning, identifying recurring problems of concern to the public and the police. Identifying the consequences of the problem for the community and the police. Prioritizing those problems, developing broad goals, confirming that the problems exist, determining how frequent. Yun. Dito sa scanning, ito muna, ina-identify mo muna yung problem through public or police. Dito mo na malalaman kung or hahanapin or you identified first bago man ang analysis, you identify first what is the problem. So next is analysis. Identifying and understanding the events and conditions that precede and accompany the problem, identifying relevant data to be collected, researching what is known about problem type, taking inventory of how the problem is currently addressed, and the strengths and limitation of the current response. So, dito sa analysis, dahil na-identify mo na yung problem, dito you analyze or ito na yung pinpoints mo na yung paano yung mga underlying events, condition, and pinpoints the cause of a specific problem to persist. Ganon. So, dito mo na malalaman kung ano yung i-analyze mo doon yung problem, kung dito mo na yung malalaman kung ano yung magiging next stage mo. Um, so dahil na-identify mo na yung problem, dito mo na malalaman kung ano yung mga kailangan mo na data or kung i-analyze mo na yung mga current response doon sa problem na na-identify mo. So next naman is response. Brainstorming for new interventions, searching for what other communities with similar problems have done, choosing among the alternative interventions, and outlining a response. So dito, dahil na-identify mo na yung problem, tapos you come up to analysis doon sa problema na yun, and ito na yung response doon sa problema mo. Then, you gathered brainstorming and paano ma-address yung solution doon sa root causes of recurring crime or disordered problems para ma-identify mo yung previous problems. So, pagkatapos ng response and you give feedback or ito na yung resistance phase na nag-represents how individuals respond to a feedback. Dito na yung i-question mo yung validity ng na-gather mong data. Or yung i-justify mo yung behavior before ultimately moving forward to accept. Ito naman, searching for what other communities with similar problems have done. Ito na yung mag-search ka ng mga sources para magamit mo siya kung ano yung mga nangyari na problems na na-encounter tapos nag-come up into response para magamit mo siya. So, next naman is assessment. Brainstorming for new intervention, searching for what others communities have similar problems have done, choosing among the alternatives intervention. So, dito naman sa assessment, ito na yung choosing among the alternative intervention or you outline a response. So, nag-come up ka na into analysis, into a response. Ito naman sa assessment is meron kang pagpipilian wherein yung mga alternative na makakatulong doon sa solution doon sa problem na na-identify mo. Ito na yung you assess kung effective ba or kung you evaluate or kung effective ba yung ginawa mong action doon sa problem na yun or kung effective ba yung analysis mo doon sa problem na iyong na-gather or yung response mo doon sa analysis na yung na-come up mo. And yun na yung choosing the best alternative. I-assess mo na doon yung um, solution or yung action na nagawa mo in identifying the problem. So next tayo is sa United Nations. Ano nga ba ang United Nations? United Nations. The United Nations is an intergovernmental organization whose stated purposes are to maintain the international peace and security, develop friendly relations among nations, achieve international cooperations, and be a center for harmonizing the actions of nations. Officially came into the existence on October 24, 1945, coined by Winston Churchill and Franklin D. Roosevelt in the Declaration by the United Nations. This declaration was made to officially state the cooperation of the Allies, Great Britain, and United States, and the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics. So, isa ang member dito is the Philippines. Ito na yung intergovernmental organization wherein each country um, para ma-maintain yung peace and security ng each country, meron silang dine-develop relations among each nation. Para ang goal ng United Nation wherein unite as one, parang ganyan. And para magiging harmonize yung actions of each nation, parang magkaroon ng friendly relation with each other country. So yung isa sa goal ng UN is yung serve as universal call to action para ma-end yung kahirapan, ma-end yung poverty, para maprotektahan yung planet Earth natin, para ma-ensure na lahat ng tao ma-enjoy nila yung peace and yung prosperity. Ay, parang ganyan, each year yun, each year yun dapat ma-enjoy ng tao yung peace or yung liberty ng mga tao. So ang ang development ang goal din ng UN into development is magkaroon ng ma-end daw yung poverty, yung magiging zero hunger, ganyan, good health and well-being or quality education, gender equality, clean water and sanitation, affordable and clean energy, magkaroon ng decenteng trabaho para magkaroon ng economic growth yung isang each country para yung magkaroon ng industry, innovation, and infrastructure, parang ganyan. Para sa kauunlad ng um, mamamayan, hindi lang sa Pilipinas kundi sa iba't ibang bansa para ma-sustain yung cities and communities, para magkaroon ng responsible consumption and production, pagkaroon naman ng um, climate action, life below water, parang life on land, or ito naman, peace and strong institution. Ito na sabihin yan is para ma-promote yung peaceful and inclusive societies, para ma-provide or maka-access to justice for all and ma-build yung effective and accountable institution. Ayun yung goal ng United Nations para magkaroon ng international cooperation, ma-achieve natin yung international cooperation ng each country para sa ikauunlad ng ekonomiya ng iba't ibang bansa. So, next naman is the branches of UN. Ano ba ang branches ng United Nations? So first is the UN General Assembly. This is the main decision-making and representative assembly in the UN through its policies and recommendation. It is composed of all member of the state. It is headed by a president elected from the member of the state and meets from September to December. So yung UN yung UN, once a year lang yan sila nagkakaroon ng General Assembly. Ang nagre-represent sa each country is the President. Tapos, nangyayari siya September to December. So, ang sabi din dyan is nag-extend siya kapag merong unresolved, nag-extend yung months kapag merong nagkakaroon ng unresolved issues para ma-address yung unresolved issues na yun. Nagkaroon sila ng special session. Tapos, ang dinidiscuss dyan, kung ano yung dinidiscuss dyan. So, ang didiscuss dyan sa General Assembly nila, yung accelerating international climate action, tapos addressing ongoing international security crisis, yung mga ganyan, tapos yung mga paghihirap, yung mga ekonomiya ng ibang bansa, iba't ibang bansa, yan, pinag-uusapan nila yan kung paano nila mai-improve or magkaroon ng growth yung economy ng each country, magkaroon ng budget or ayun, tapos yung crime prevention nila, yung international terrorism, ayun yung mga discussion ng General Assembly that represented by each head of the state. So next naman is the UN Security Council, is another branch in the organization of the UN and is most powerful of all the branches. Preventive action. Ito yung central. Sila yung Security Council, sila yung mga isa sa yung organization na to nagprevent ng mga nagprevent or nag-enforce ng mga actions ng each member ng UN. So, preventive action consists of provisional measure to prevent a conflict from worsening and may involve the deployment of peacekeeping and observer mission. So, yung preventive action, nahahati siya sa dalawa, wherein yung preventive action, sila yung mga nag-deploy or na ang ginagawa nila is peacekeeping and observer missions. So, enforcement action naman consists of deployment of air, sea, and land forces. So, 5 permanent members of Security Council. So, ito naman, um, ito naman yung mga bansa na nag-enforce ng action o sila yung mga bansa na member ng Security Council. China, France, Russia, United Kingdom, and United States. Sila yung mga bansang nag-enforce um, ng mga actions na sila yung mga members ng Security Council. So, dito naman is the International Court of Justice located in The Hague, Netherlands. So, this branch is responsible for judicial matters of the UN. So, yung mga hinihear dito, sa case ni former President Rodrigo Duterte were the crimes against humanity. So, dito hinihear yung kaso ng nakocommit ng president or then sila din yung mga nagsisettle ng dispute, legal disputes between sovereign states and provides advisory opinions on legal questions referred by UN organs. So, yung core functions ng International Court of Justice is yung contentious cases para ma-resolve yung legal dispute between countries, tapos yung mga border disputes o yung mga treaty violation ng commit, tapos mga allegations of genocides, tapos meron din silang yung advisory proceedings. provides non-binding legal advice to UN entities and specialized agencies. So, yung jurisdiction naman yan is unlike siya sa um, domestic courts, gano'n. Tapos, yung International Court of Justice can only hear cases involving states if the involved countries have explicitly consented to its jurisdiction. So, yung case naman ni former President Rodrigo Duterte kasi, di ba, nag nag-withdraw siya doon sa member ng bansa natin 2016. Tapos nakomit niya yung AJK, nakomit yung AJK na yon, member pa tayo ng ICC. Wherein meron pa rin silang um, power na investigate or mag-hear ng kaso ni former President Duterte. Then, sa UN din, meron silang the Secretariat. Its main responsibility is providing studies, information, and other data needed. O, siya yung mag-provide ng mga information and yung mga data na kailangan in General Assembly or not just General Assembly sa siya as a representative, siya yung may responsibility ng information tsaka yung mga data. So yung UN Secretariat, siya yung may yung executive and administrative arm of UN, serving siya yung nag-serve as the primary engine and civil service. Tapos nililid siya ng Vice Secretary General, 10 of thousands of international staffs members. Uh, sila yung nagmamanage ng operations, nag-facilitate ng mga meetings, sila din yung nag-administer ng peacekeeping missions and implement mandates from other principal UN organs. So, sa General Assembly, ito na yung pagbobotohan nila yan, ito, part ng Economic and Social Council, consists siya of 45 members elected by the General Assembly for a 3-year term. So, each country ang re-represent, pero pinagbobotohan yun ng each representative or each um, head of the state ng iba't ibang bansa. So next is yung Trusteeship Council. Assist the Security Council and the General Assembly in the administration of international trusteeship system. So dito naman, sila yung nag-supervise ng administration of trust territories para mag-guide sila toward their self-government or independence. Sila yung nag-guide ng each country. Ang its mission was para ma-fulfill yung trust territories ng maraming yung independence. Din yung membership din nito, ito yung kung sino yung mga members sa Security Council, sila din yung part ng Trusteeship Council. So next naman is International Policing Organization. So ito yung International Criminal Police Organization or the ICPO, or European Union Agency for Law Enforcement or the Europol, or Asian Chief of National Police or the ASIANAPOL. So first, pag-usapan natin is the ICPO or the Interpol. So the International Criminal Police Organization or ICPO, the world's largest international police organization, which has 196 member countries. It is the world's prominent police institution providing assistance to organizations, authorities, and services whose mission is to prevent, detect, and suppress crime. So, yung language na ginagamit ng Interpol is the Spanish, Arabic, French, or English. Ito yung sinatawag nating SAFE. So, yung Interpol, siya yung pinakamalaking police organization. At isang Pilipinas part doon ng Interpol. Wherein, ang goal ng Interpol para ma-suppress yung crime, para ma-prevent or ma-detect nila yung crime na nangyayari. Kaya yung mga ibang bansa, nagkakaroon sila ng agreement or the treaty, which is kapag kayong kriminal pupunta sa ibang bansa, magkaroon sila ng treaty um, para masolusyonan yung kriminal na yun pumunta sa bansa na yun na may treaty para magkaroon sila ng coordination kung paano nila masosolve yung krimen na nakomit ng isang kriminal. So, International Criminal Police Organization or the ICPO, the police forces organization that primarily manifests global or international cooperation in addressing transnational crime. Its headquarters is initially located in Vienna, Austria. It is where Interpol was founded. But at present, it is transferred to Lyon, France. So, yung current headquarters ng ICPO nasa Lyon, France. Then, ang Interpol structure is magkakaroon silang General Assembly, meron silang Executive Committee, General Secretariat, National Central Bureaus, Advisors, and yung um, Commission for the Control of Interpol Files. Yun yung Interpol structure. So first is General Assembly. It is the supreme governing body of the Interpol. It meets annually and comprises delegates appointed by each member country. The Assembly takes all important decisions related to policy, resources, working method, finances, activities, and programs. So sa General Assembly, dito pinag-uusapan nila, pinagdidesisyonan nila kung ano yung mga policy, kung ano yung mga resources ng each country. Tapos ang nagre-represent sa Interpol, yun yung mga head ng mga police agencies. So, halimbawa sa atin, si Police General Nartates, siya yung magre-represent doon on behalf sa Pilipinas. Then, ito yung General Assembly, ito yung supreme governing body ng Interpol. So, ito pinag-uusapan nila yung methods, yung policies, or yung mga resources na gagamitin or yung mga activities programs na pwedeng gawin sa sa every country. So, Interpol's supreme governing body, yun yung General Assembly. Ang composed of delegates appointed by each member of the country. Yun, appointed by each member of the country wherein yung police general natin is si Nartates. So, nagkikita din sila annually to take all important decisions related to policy. Ayun na yung pag-usapan nila yung mga polisiya, resources, working methods, finances, activities, and programs na gagawin nila. So, next is the Executive Committee ng ICPO. So, consisting of 13 members elected by the General Assembly and comprises the President, 3 Vice Presidents, and 9 delegates, governing the 4 regions. It is the Interpol's deliberate organ, which meets 3 times a year, usually in March, July, and immediately before the General Assembly. Elected by the General Assembly, headed by the President of the organization, provides guidance and direction of the organization and oversees the implementation of decisions made by the annual General Assembly. So bukod doon, yung mga executive committee ng Oh, so nagkikita sila 3 times a year. Ay, yun yung 13 members na yun na na-elect ng General Assembly. So, tapos yung head naman ng or ang member pinaka-head ng general um, the international Interpol is yung president ng organization na inelect nung General Assembly. Tapos para siya yung mag-provide ng guidance and direction ng isang organization. Tapos siya din yung mag-oversee sa implementation and decision made made at the annual assembly. Since the annual assembly is nagkikita lang sila once a year. So, National Central Bureaus or NCB. Each Interpol member country maintains a National Central Bureau staffed by national law enforcement officers. The NCB is the designated contact point for the General Secretariat, regional offices in other member countries requiring assistance with overseas investigation and the location and apprehension of fugitives. National Central Bureaus linking national police with its global network and staffed by highly trained national law enforcement officers. NCBs our lifeblood of Interpol serves as designated contact point. So, halimbawa, each country dapat merong national central bureaus. So, halimbawa sa Pilipinas, dapat merong National Central Bureaus ang Pilipinas wherein pag kinontak ng Interpol, doon mismo sa kanila, direct sa kanila mismo, iko-contact. Halimbawa, may nagkaroon ng mga fugitives or yung mga tumatakas sa ibang bansa, ganyan. Para makontak nila yun, doon mismo sila kukontak nun sa National Central Bureaus. So, each country, each member of the Interpol, dapat merong National Central Bureau. Ito na yung sinasabi dyan serve as the designated contact point. And sila din yung NCB, sila din yung lifeblood ng Interpol. Magkaroon din dapat yun ng coordination ang bawat isa sa kanila. Then yung Interpol, meron din silang General Secretariat. Located siya sa Lyon, France and operate siya 24 hours a day, 365 days a year and is run by the Secretary General. It works with officials of more than 80 countries side by side using official languages. Ayun na yung SAFE, which is Arabic, English, French, and Spanish, or Spanish, Arabic, French, or English. It consists of 7 regional offices across the world. Ito na yung Argentina, Cameroon, Cote d'Ivoire, Kenya, El Salvador, Thailand, and Zimbabwe. So, yung Interpol located sa Lyon, France and operates siya 24 hours a day and 365 days a year and is run. And pinamunuan siya ng Secretary General. The Secretariat is in charge with the day-to-day administrative tasks, also known as the I-24/7. Ayun. Operate siya 24/7. So next is the advisors. These are experts in purely advisory capacity who may be appointed by the executive committee and confirmed by the General Assembly. So yung advisor, sila yung mga experts. So sila yung mga experts in related to data protection, yung mga international criminal law, at saka or member country in police cooperation. So, sila din yung nag-realize in distinct supervisory and advisory chambers of various departments. Yun. So, next naman is Commission for the Control of Interpol File or the CCF. The CCF is an independent body that ensures that all personal data processed through Interpol channels conforms to the rules of the organization. Sila yung independent body or sila yung nagpo-protect sa mga data na na-process through Interpol channels. So, sila yung may hawak ng mga files na which sinusunod nila yung rules ng isang organization. So next, yung Interpol's governance. So comprises the General Assembly and the Executive Committee, which is headed by the President. So the President of the organization is elected by the General Assembly for a period of 4 years. His role is to chair the General Assembly and Executive Committee and ensure that Interpol's activities conform with the decision made at this meeting. So, yun na yung Interpol governance wherein yung Executive Committee tsaka General Assembly na headed ng President, sila yung nag-i-ensure na yung Interpol's activity confirms na nangyari doon sa meeting ng kanilang. Ito yung mga krimen na concerns ng Interpol. So first is public safety and terrorism, trafficking of human beings, fugitive investigative services, financial and high-tech services, drugs and criminal organizations such as genocide, war crimes, crimes against humanity, environmental crimes, and law enforcement corruption. So, ayan yung mga krimen na concerns ng Interpol. So, ito yung mga notice system ng Interpol. Pag sinabi nating red notice, sila yung mga sila yung mga wanted persons na pinaghahanap. And kapag naka-yellow notice naman, ayun yung missing persons. Pag blue notice naman, kailangan ng additional informations. Pag black notice naman, yun yung mga unidentified bodies. Yung mga hindi na mga kilalang mga katawan na namamatay. Tapos green notice naman kapag merong warning and intelligence. Pag orange notice naman, kapag merong imminent threat yung isang tao, yun yung orange notice. Kapag purple notice naman, yung modus operandi or yung mga mode of operation ng mga criminals. Pag silver notice naman, yung pilot phase, yung mga identification and tracing of criminal assets. Kapag naka-silver notice, ito yung mga i-identified and i-trace mo yung mga criminal assets. Then kapag Interpol UN Security Council Special Notice, entities and individuals subject to UNSC sanctions. Kapag mayroong nagkakaroon ng sanctions or violations. Ayun yung Interpol, UN Security Council Special Notice. And ito na yung explanations ng mga notice system ng Interpol. So first is the red notice. To seek the arrest and extradition of suspects, national arrest and warrants are used. So kapag red notice, ito yung mga wanted person is kailangan siyang arestuhin at i-extradite. Kapag naka-blue notice naman, used to learn about people's identities or illegal activities related to criminal matters. So, yun na yung mga additional information involving illegal activities na relates into or connect siya into criminal matters. Kapag green notice naman, yun na yung provide warnings and criminal intelligence about people who have committed crimes and are likely to commit them again or in other countries. Ito na yung mag-provide ka ng warning na yung tao na yun ay um, nakapag-commit ng krimen tapos magkaroon ng mayroong criminal intelligence. Tapos ito naman kapag yellow notice naman, ito nang tinatawag para malocate yung missing person. Then next naman is the black notice used to determine the identity of deceased person. Kapag may mga matay na tao, yun yung ginagamit, yung black notice, para ma-identify yung deceased person. So next, this is the Interpol notice system. So next is the orange. So continuation, next is the orange notice, used to warn an event, person, object, or process that poses an imminent threat or danger to people or property. Ito yung notice na um, magkaroon ng notice na yon para i-warn yung person o yung object na yon o yung event na yon na magkaroon ng imminent threat or danger sa isang tao or sa property. Kapag purple notice naman, ito yung issue para i-provide yung information on criminal methods of operation o yung modus operandi ng mga criminals o yung object, yung mga devices na ginagamit nila o yung mga concealment methods na ginagamit ng mga kriminal. Tapos, the Interpol, United Nations Security Council, ito na yung special notice issued for individuals or entities na yung mga subjects to UN sanctions or yung mga UN violations. And ito na yung ASIANAPOL or Asian Chiefs of National Police Objectives. So, dito na tayo member. Ito yung member ng more on in ASIANAPOL. Pag tinatawag ASIANAPOL, they are the Asia member ng member countries ng Asia. So, ASIANAPOL is the organization facilitates regional police cooperation, intelligence sharing, and joint efforts in fighting transnational crime. So, Asianapol has 11 member countries. So, isa dito ang Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, Philippines, Singapore, Thailand, Vietnam, and Timor-Leste. So, ang goal ng ASEANAPOL is para magkaroon ng cooperation each Asia member country para magkaroon sila ng intelligence sharing at parang may joint efforts para i-fight yung mga krimen na nakocommit transnationally committed crime. Kagaya ng mga drug trafficking, drug smuggling, mga krimen na nakocommit transnational crime. ASIANAPOL is to enhance police professionalism, forge stronger regional cooperation in policing, promote lasting friendship among ASIANAPOL Conference. The conference shall be held annually. So, annually lang din sila nag-meet yung conference ng ASIANAPOL on a rotational basis among member countries. So, the conference will be attended by the Chief of Police of member country. So, o mga Chief of Police yung mga representative ng ASIANAPOL Conference. Europol or the European Union Agency for Law Enforcement. Law enforcement agency of the European Union supports its member states in preventing and combating all forms of serious international and organized crime, cybercrime, and terrorism. So, dito na tayo sa Europol. So, wherein hindi tayo part ng Europol is because it's more on Europe. So, yung goal nila doon is to prevent and i-combat daw nila yung all forms ng serious international and organized crime, yung mga cybercrime and the terrorism. The European Union. It is the supranational political and economic union of 27 member states that are located primarily in Europe. So, European Union wherein doon lang part ng Europe yung mga member states nila. And yung European Union na yan, primarily located in Europe. Next is the Europol Management Board, composed of one representative from EU member state, main governance body of Europol, provides strategic guidance to the agency, oversee the implementation of each task, and adopt its annual and multi-annual work programs and um, manage budget. So, dito naman, sa Europol Management Board, sila yung representative ng each Europe Union, European, European Union member state. Yung pinoprovide nila, yung strategic guidance sa agency, then sila din yung nag-o-oversee ng implementation ng each task. So, ito naman is nandun to siya sa CDIN-1 wherein the fundamentals of investigation and intelligence. So, ito yung evaluation guide for collected information. Ito na yung Kufnor and CPROPRODIT. So, that's all. Thank you, Batch Makatikas. I am part of the Batch Makatikas and I will give credit to Ma'am Harumay dahil ginamit ko yung PPT niya. So, maraming salamat, Ma'am Aromay, sa pag-share mo ng PPT mo uh, at bigay knowledge para madagdagan yung knowledge namin when it comes to LEA 2 or the comparative models of policing system. Thank you.